it's very invisible. It's a very like intangible kind of process, and there's no rules. That's all.
It's like every morning the devil's sitting on his chest. It's just like a weight, like you can't get up.
It felt like I would have this dark cloud that was like chasing me and I couldn't get away from it.
I think I accepted that I had depression when I was in my mid-20s.
I think I first realised I had depression when I was about 13 or 14.
I first had language to like describe what I was going through when I was about 12, 13 maybe. But that wasn't like the first time I'd experienced some kind of feelings. But yeah, like I could just connect what I was going through to certain things that was making me feel low.
I knew I had depression when I would finish on Thursday afternoon. I would get into bed and I wouldn't get up again until Monday morning. Yeah, that was a tough time.
I was on Tumblr, and then some Tumblr quote was like, it was relating to me so hard, like more than any of the Tumblr quotes I've ever had. And it was like, want to go out and see friends, but I'm too tired to go out and see friends. Want to go out and like party, but also too tired to go out and party. Want to go to the shops and get food, too tired to go to the shops and get food. Want to do this and this, want to watch TV, want to watch a movie, but too tired to do this. And I was like, man, yeah, this is all me. And I thought, oh wow. And then the next comment underneath was like, it's not that you're tired, it's that you're depressed. And I was like, oh, maybe.
I started writing about my mental health when I was 25. In doing that, I realised that I'd been doing the same sort of things or repeating the same sort of hurtful processes probably since I was a mid to late teenager.
Okay, so I wasn't necessarily sure it was depression, and it was only because I kept journals throughout my whole teenage years, and then it was only when I went back maybe a year or two ago and like looked at them. I think at the time everyone around me and like myself, you kind of hoped it was maybe just like teenage angst, or you just thought like, oh, you'll get over it. And then that was the good thing about having journals, is I was able to go back and just like see like, okay, that feeling still there. It wasn't just teenage angst. I haven't grown out of it.
And so I'd be in a situation, or I'd be out with my friends, and it would just take over me, and I'd be like super emotional, and I cannot explain what's happening to me.
There'll be times where it's really low, but most of the time it is just a kind of a steady like weight, just naturally, that you kind of carry around with you. So yeah.
So when I was in college and uni, I'd just go quiet on friends, I wouldn't speak to them for weeks and just wait for them to call me. And they'd call me and be like, oh yeah, I haven't heard from you for ages, like, where are you? And I'd just be like, no, I'm okay, just been playing games and stuff. But in reality, I was just doing nothing, wasn't really eating, wasn't going to classes.
You hear about like the sort of symptoms of depression, that's like irritability, this, that. That's like a natural reaction to someone to like not feeling seen or heard.
When I say this, I have to be like liberal with how I say this. I'd say talk to your family, but understand who your family is before you talk to them.
Maybe some of the reactions that I'd get from my friends weren't as supportive at the time because my behaviour is mad. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm an emotional wreck. I've gone from happy to sad. Like I'm disappearing. What are they meant to think?
I'm lucky I have a good support group around me, and even if they can't necessarily understand the actual feeling, they can empathise with me. Like growing up through my pre-homosexual years when I was pretending to be straight, like you don't have anyone you can talk to about it, because you're not able to fully speak your truth. When I was in my teenage years, that's a lot of what I thought it maybe was just like, it was like not being sure of my sexuality, or it was like the trauma from childhood, and then like moving out of my house, out of my like family environment, like finally coming out, and it's like, oh, still sad. So yeah. I'm
most comfortable like linking someone. I can't do that whole phone conversation, texting thing. Like, no, like I need to see you. Like, you come mine or I come yours. Like, stay the night or whatever. Like, Because especially when it comes to like emotions and that, you can't do like, okay, let's meet for half an hour because then I need to go here. Like, no, when your day's done and you've got time, like, let's talk. It's basically like the love language. It's like, that's how I know that, okay, you actually see me, like, you care. And when, I think I can sense when someone genuinely has helped me when they start asking questions, there's like, it's a risk to actually ask someone a question about their emotions because they'll either shut you down or they'll say something and then something within you will say, okay, we need to talk.
It was a challenge because I couldn't explain to my friends because I didn't know what was going on. When I did know what was going on, there were a few people that I felt like I was able to share some things, but I guess my I don't know what to say, like nature or personality was to never feel like I'm burdening anybody. So it was really, really difficult for me sometimes to share what I was going through. So I don't want to feel like I don't want to feel like somebody has to have the weight of what I was going through on them. I didn't feel like that was fair. But at the same time, like looking back now, I believe that there's power in vulnerability, but you do have to be quite conscious of the fact that what you're sharing is heavy for the person that's receiving it. I feel like it's good to ask permission to see if somebody has like the mental capacity or space to take on what you're sharing with them.
I need to make it I protect my energy if I'm speaking to these people. I've gotten really good at it now, especially in England. Like, only really speaking to people for long periods of time if they have a good like energy or if they have a good mindset and they aren't somebody toxic is my point. Because I just speak to like so many people. So that's my biggest thing, like making sure I'm around people that are good for my own mental health and whatnot.
I say to get into a better state of mental health, it takes a bunch of different things. So I've been on antidepressants. I'm off them now. I've been in therapy. I'm out of therapy now, but I want to get a new therapist. I'm trying to be more open, trying to write more. So it's like a lot of different things help me get better.
I never really have like a specific set of things like, today's a bad day, make sure you go and sit in the garden for 5 minutes. No, it's like, I'll just think, okay, what makes the most sense? Today it might be, don't even do nothing, cancel all your plans and stay in bed till 5. Tomorrow it might be, okay, get up at 9 and have a shower, have breakfast and then just do what feels right. You have to be very forgiving of yourself because sometimes you think, being around this person, calling up this person is going to help, and then it doesn't. But like going to this place and seeing this thing or being around this person is going to do that thing, and it does. You're going to get irritated at people around you as well, especially when they might be used to a different version of you.
Start small. So if you've been in bed for 5 days, 3 days, and you can't get out and you're feeling low, like go for a walk, eat something, have a bath.
Depression manifests itself in different ways for everybody. So the way it might manifest itself in you might not be the same for somebody else. I think the best thing to do is try to be as self-aware as possible. You know when you don't feel good. So recognize those signs and think about what it is in general that gets you through the day. Like things like brain health, it's real. Like don't think just because you're in your 20s that it's not going to affect you.
There's times where like, it makes more sense to just write things by myself, and then there's other times when it's like, you can't do this by yourself. Like there's certain ways that's too hard, too heavy.
So accessing therapy through NHS was, you have a phone call with someone and it's like, all right, how do you feel? How bad are things? It's really like rushy and you can tell they're going through a questionnaire to assess you. And that makes you feel like, well, you don't actually care what's happening, you're just trying to process me. You don't want to be processed or be spoken to.
And they did the whole routine questionnaire, like on a scale of 1 to 10, like how bad do you feel, how many times you thought about killing yourself in the last week. It's a really weird way to assess someone because you're not really sure. This is where you're going to seek help. You're not sure like how bad you feel, how sad you feel. You have to constantly retell your story over and over again. And it gets to a point where you just kind of nail down the bullet points and you get bored of it yourself and you're like, do you know what, be bothered to tell this story again. And also because you've told it so many times now, going to all these different like services, like it's kind of like you build up a tolerance to it yourself.
Afterwards, they're like, okay, great, like, we'll speak to you in 5 weeks.
I was just like, well, I guess I just end up killing myself then. And the receptionist was literally like, well, okay then, bye. And then she's hung up the phone on me.
So I used to work for the NHS back in the day, and I understand the strain. Like, when they're telling you have to wait a couple of weeks, it's not for fun. It's because there's a huge amount of people that actually need the service, and that's why we have to wait, because there's already people like being treated. For me, the moment that you're making that step to reach out to somebody, that's the moment you need help now. Like, you don't need to be hearing from somebody weeks later. Having to wait is tricky, because it's like, of course you get into like this frame of mind, like, okay, what if I can't keep pushing on? Do you know what I mean? Like, what is gonna, because it's all unknown. Like, these emotions that you feel every day, it's like, how low can you take you today?
It's not even just the access, it's finding someone that you're able to connect with. And I really hate the calm voice that therapists do when they're speaking to you. So I'm like, it's not that I need you to speak to me with some energy, match it back.
You don't get to choose your therapist, none of that is just chucked in. I definitely felt like I can't talk to you about certain things or you won't understand.
It was mad. It was like very like older people, like people my mum's age, just sitting in a circle, like just looking very gloomy. I was thinking, nah, this is mad. How did I get here?
Finally went to a family counselling thing because it was so awkward. I just was like, I'm cured. After we went to one session, I was like, no, I don't feel sad anymore. I feel fine. We don't need to go back. £60, 10 sessions. I'm going to definitely need more than 10 sessions. It's like £600.
To get yourself to even go and reach out to these services, whether it's by phone, email, or like in person, it's a really big thing. Like, I can't even get out of bed to go and eat food or brush my teeth or shower. How am I going to go and like, reach out to these people?
I just feel like also give therapy to everyone that's not like a straight white man, just for free. Or like tax straight white men. Mental health tax. That's a good mental health tax! Oh my god, I think I've just solved it, guys. I had never wanted to be on medication, and from the family that I came from, there was this stigma to it as well. I was on fluoxetine, and that was for the depression. I take 2 of those daily, one in the morning, one in the evening. And then I was also on beta blockers, which apparently is what Beyonce uses before she goes on stage.
So being on antidepressants is really odd because, well, for me, at first it made me feel like there was definitely something wrong with me, because it's not that I felt better, but I just felt different while I was on them. So you have a range of emotions, like you have a sliding scale of 10 on good, 10 on bad. And when I was on my antidepressants, it felt like I'd been limited to like maybe number 3 on each side. So you can't get super sad, which is great, but you also can't get super happy. There's one thing like reading about side effects in a little leaflet and actually experiencing it.
Very sweaty. First way I can describe fluoxetine, like my hands were always constantly like soaked to the point that I couldn't like open my touch screen on my phone. Like it was just like you'd pick it up and it would just be like slime everywhere. Crazy dreams as well, which, I mean, I smoke a lot of weed, so I'm not very used to dreaming a lot, so that was a big wake up call.
So my libido suffered, that was really odd, not having any sex drive and being like a fit and healthy guy. To be honest, I felt a bit broken because you feel like you need this thing to fix you. I felt like, I wasn't whole.
It's only when you come off of the pills that you notice. Like when my prescription would run out and it would be like a week later or 2 weeks later because I hadn't refilled it, and I'd be like sitting in my bed not able to get out of bed, and I'm like, why do I feel so rubbish? And you remember it's because you haven't taken your medication.
At one point I thought, I need to go back on these because this is scary. I've had other low moments, but now I've got more tools available, and not that I know myself better, but I know how to cope better. So that's helped me. That stops me from going to a doctor's and saying, please, put me back on.
I do need to have conversations. So there needs to be spaces for people to have these type of conversations.
Open conversation without any agenda, where people can actually come. I mean, there's actually no spaces. There's no spaces for what's actually happening right now. Right now, what you're doing. This is a very new thing, and I think 2018, 2019, maybe even late 2017, it was becoming like a, hey guys, we've got physical health, we've got spiritual health down. Let's figure out our own mental health, and that's like something that people were not doing. Our generation has just decided we're done with all of this, like feeling upset and then feeling sad and not talking to anyone about it, because that's like, we've just gotten to like the boiling point of how much shit we're going to take.
I think in the creative industry, you're trying to keep up with everything that's going on. Like, there's so much information out there, and it's like an overload, and you're trying to keep up and stay on top of it. Make sure your social media is popping, make sure you look fly when you go out to the creative event, like make sure you're mingling and socializing, and then having to take time for yourself as well. It's a lot. Like, people look like they do it when you look at their Insta stories and they're posting all the time, but for me, I don't know, like, are you really taking time for yourself?
In youth culture, creative people culture, whatever, I think like the biggest like contributing factor to ever feeling like low, it's just like illusions, but specifically around time, like just always thinking like that you need to be ahead of this person or that person, you need to do this first, you need to start doing this before people start cutting what you're doing, like you just feel like time's running out tomorrow. Like, you suddenly start seeing people around you at different stages of their journey, and like almost judging where you are next to where they are. But that don't make any sense, because you don't know what they've, or like how long they've been grafting for, or like who's been there to help them. When you take things at face value as a young person or as a creative person, and you don't really know how to ask people the right questions or read deeper into things, you start getting a bit paranoid.
I think the internet, it likes to deal in absolutes. So there is always this sense of like what is good and what's bad. And I think we, maybe as a generation, have kind of got a bit too caught up in that and forget to see that like the vast majority of the world just deals in kind of grey shades.
People just feel this mad pressure to feel so patterned by tomorrow. It's not, nothing works like that. Obviously, over that the last 50, 60 years or whatever, like, it's a thing to be young. It's like, I think we forget, like, before that, people were kids when they were adults. So it's like, it probably would serve us a lot better to be more appreciative of this time that we have to actually enjoy being young. You're alive, like, do you, like, you've got time. It's that thing as well, like, you have to understand that you have time to fix your problems. And I think to face things head on, you have to be brave enough to rethink your relationship with time.
You know, we get consumed by being busy and not having time, and saying, opening up your diary and be like, oh yeah, I'll see you in 6 months. It's like, it doesn't actually have to be like that. If you care about someone, love them, you can make time. You just never know what someone's going through.
I think it's really difficult in London, especially because there is this kind of sense, like, you don't speak to neighbours, you don't speak to people. If you see someone crying, like, mind your business, you don't need to know why they're crying.
Talking to friends is like, they're always, like, if you've managed to make a friend, that person, believe it or not, probably has their own thing going on, and you open up to them. This is the biggest thing I've always been trying to tell people. Perspective is that you do not know what's going on in someone else's mind. So if you open up to someone else about last month, they may say to you 2 years ago, for a whole year, I was like this.
You don't even understand, like, your connections to people, because your feelings have made everything just about you. If you don't understand that, then you're just not going to know, like, your value in other people's lives. You just have to know your worth. And sometimes what's so sad about that process is it's not even always your job to let yourself know how worthy you are of just being alive. That's the job of other people around you. Like, it is your parents' job, it is your siblings and your cousins and your friends and your teachers' jobs to let you know, like, you are alive, and that in itself is wicked. Like,
I think the most important thing that people should do is just remember, if your friend's going through something, or someone that you're close with is going through something, like, do all the normal things you would do anyway. Like, it's okay to say, I don't know what to do right now, but I'm here.
They might be used to a different version of you. So it's also just accepting that this isn't me in my purest form.
You know, don't be afraid to access emotions that you don't think you're supposed to have. So, you know, particularly for people that socialise as boys, they grow up thinking it's okay to be angry, it's okay to be violent, but it's not really okay to be anything else. I would hate for people to like grow up and be adults without like, emotional intelligence or being able to process feelings or sadness or really experience true happiness because they're kind of confined to what they think they should be.
Yeah, depression is not who you are. It's not your identity. Like, you're so much more than that.